What's good, everybody? Welcome to episode 3 of the Killstreaks and Kickoffs Podcast with myself, Sam, Rubix. I'm excited to be bringing you guys episode 3 of the podcast. For anybody that is new, we talk about competitive Call of Duty here in the Call of Duty League, all the news and updates and predictions and match updates and all that good stuff about competitive Call of Duty is talked about here. We also talk about football, and that is college football, NFL football. We talk about it all and basically combined all of that into one podcast here in Killstreaks and Kickoffs. So, yeah, I mean, if you've been around for the past 2 episodes, you know exactly what we talk about. But for anybody that's new, that's a brief rundown. Don't want to go too much more into depth about it, but I do want to let everybody know again that we are on Spotify. If you just search up Killstreaks and Kickoffs podcast, we should show up in your search. But I will also include a link down below in the description for you guys, of course, and as well as all my other social links will be down in the description as well. But I'm pretty much at lolrubix on literally almost everything. So if you don't feel like reading the description, go on ahead, search me up there if you're not following already. But yeah, that's all I've got for the intro. But I do also want to say that we're going to be joined by a special guest later for the football segment. So stay tuned or scroll there. I don't care if you want to scroll there right now, but stay tuned for the football segment. We will be having a special guest. I did this time split it up to do Call of Duty entirely first and then do football entirely second. So it'll be a little bit easier to scroll through if you do want to skip the either Call of Duty section or the football section. You want to stop watching after Call of Duty's over with. Whatever floats your boat, I don't care. I'm just glad that you're here. So without further ado, let's go on ahead and hop into this and roll that intro. Alrighty then, so we're going to kick it off with CDL Week 2 recap here in the first match of the day. Let me go on ahead and show you guys my screen here. We've got the Los Angeles Thieves taking on the LA Gorillas, mate, 3-1. The Gentle Mates go down to the Los Angeles Thieves. The Mates fall to 0-4 on the year so far, and the Thieves improve to 4-0. So, I mean, great showing we've seen from the Thieves so far, and a not so great showing that we've seen from LAG. But let's talk about the actual match itself here. The hard point, the first one, and actually both of them were very close here. 250 to 241 goes Thieves' way. 250 to 249 goes Thieves' way. And that, I wonder if they have this ending here. Yeah, I'm gonna show this clip. I know I want to mix in a little bit of clips more here. Let's get this in high quality. But the ending to this last hard point, we'll just go over that real quick. Holy cow! I mean, this was just absolutely an insane ending here. I mean, Thieves got on it here, made it 249, and then somehow LAG contests here at the end while they're at 249. They get like a 4-dead or something here. As you can see, Thieves are kind of just filing in one by one. Ghosty goes down right here, unable to trade anybody out. And LAG takes it to 249, and then somehow Thieves get in, contest it, while LAG hits 249. They hop on the point, and secure the match. That was just absolutely an insane sequence, and like had everybody on the edge of their chairs for that one. So yeah, I mean, insane. But point being, the hard points were very close here, and I think that's one thing that a lot of people noticed this week with this LAT roster. Was, at least after their week 2 showing, was the hardpoint looked a little bit sloppier than it did, I would say, in week 1, and that's just one thing they're going to work on. I mean, they have a whole month break, like I'm sure everybody's aware of. They've got a whole month break before the minor, and a lot of time to work on their hardpoint and get all the kinks ironed out, and I'm sure they'll do that. But yeah, and then I mean, LAG did take the control. I do believe Shotzi mentioned on the Scump Watch Party that he believes LAG is the best control team in the game right now, at least on vault control for sure. They just look unstoppable on that map. But control doesn't win you series. You're going to need to win your searches and your hard points as well, and that's what LA Thieves did in this series. So they're going to take that one. Moving on here to the Cloud9 versus Rocker series here, and Cloud9 gets their first win of the season against the Minnesota Rocker. I guess their internet issues are fixed. I don't know. I didn't see anybody talking about it or any of them speaking on it this week compared to last week, what was done or what difference there was, but they certainly looked like they could at least shoot back this week, and that is an improvement from the last week for sure. You will definitely say that. Kremp and Mac had themselves a series here. Kremp with a 1.05 and Mac with a 1.16 the sub duo, was getting it done this series. 4C9 for sure. Sim and Attach though do still kind of need to figure it out, and they were better in this series than their next one this weekend that we'll get to, but they definitely looked a little bit less impactful of this map as Kremp and Mac did. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure it's going to be a resounding theme here as I go through the matches, just about, and when I talk about the upcoming matches, that there is a literal almost month break from now until when the next matches for the holidays. So a lot of teams are going to have a lot of time to, like I said, work out those kinks and figure out if there's any issues. And Attach and Civ are on that list of people that probably need to get in their bag and figure it out, get to work in scrims and whatnot. But like to see a little bit more from them this series. But obviously, I mean, when Krep and Mac are just kind of flowing across the map as a duo, don't need a whole lot there. So yeah, they get it done. But yeah, we'll move on to the Boston versus Miami series, and another map 5 for the Boston Breach here that they are going to take the W in that final search and destroy map. This is almost a reverse sweep here. Miami almost comes back from a 2-0 deficit, but I mean, Miami search and destroy is literal dog shit, respectfully. I mean, they have just looked terrible. I don't know their exact record, but they have just looked terrible in general on there. I don't know. I don't know if they won theirs against when they played Falcons or whatnot. That, yeah, that might be their only win, but throughout the rest of the year, they've just looked extremely lackluster. So again, on the break, that's something that they're gonna want to key in on. But yeah, otherwise, Boston Breach has just been getting it done here on the map 5s, and their next match as well that we'll get to eventually was another map 5 round win or search and destroy win. So they have just been icing up here, and that is exactly what they do in this series. Big series from Big Wake here, 1.19 on the series, definitely getting kills and kind of looking like the Wake that we've seen in the past. Maybe not recently, but looking more vintage and looking like more of the Slayer that we know as Awakening. So good to see there for Boston. And then moving on to the last match of day 1 here, we've got Optic Texas versus the Vancouver Surge here. Optic gets the win 3-1 here with their first game with Hook, and holy cow, Hook and Shotzi, just, I mean, you could just tell they are working perfect together. They flow as a duo perfectly as a sub duo, and definitely looked better in this match, or in this match versus Vancouver, than their second match of the weekend. But we'll talk about that. I think the two of them looked really good here, and there's just some people where you can kind of tell that they play well together, and it's maybe not tangible exactly. Like you don't see like a specific statistic, or there's like statistical correlation between. Basically, the numbers don't always say it, and I think that's a little bit of the case in the second series as well. But you could just kind of tell from watching that these two flow perfectly together, and I think it's the perfect fit for this roster. If you don't have Pred, obviously, I mean you want to keep the World Championship roster together, but I think a lot of people can agree that Hook was the best fit for this roster, and I think they're going to be okay. But I did also want to mention Dashi. He had a fantastic weekend here. In this series, drops a 1.33. He basically, in the next match, which we'll get to, he basically carries for the whole team in terms of the slaying department. And yeah, just, I mean, Dashi was looking fantastic this weekend, like I said. And then, I mean, only other thing here for Vancouver, this was a rough match for the old sub duo here in Hixie and 04. Unfortunately, I mean, really rough series for Hixie specifically. So definitely want to get that ironed out for sure. But it's only one series here, and where you're dropping a 0.62, if that becomes a recurring theme, then obviously want to take a look at it. But you know, just work on it, and want to see more there from that duo. I know I was talking about how we needed to see more from that AR duo, and they kind of stepped up in this series specifically. But yeah, the sub duo can't be being lackluster as they were in this series. So that's all I'll say there for that match, and then we'll move on here to day 2. We've got, kicking it off, I think it's Toronto Ultra versus the Vegas Falcons here. And Toronto gets it done 3-0. Toronto improves to 4-0. Vegas goes to 0-4 on the first 2 weeks here of online match play. Yeah, Toronto is just looking great. here. It is a relatively close 3-0, I would say, slaying wise. Toronto didn't like necessarily blow Falcons out of the water. Like nobody's super duper negative and nobody's super duper positive aside from maybe Kleenex there with the 1.3, the 1.37. But I think it was a relatively close series. I think Toronto is just really like their cohesion and team play is really working, and fundamentally they're just a really good roster and showing that they can get the kills when needed and know what to do with them. And I think they really showed that here in this match. And then again, I mean, Kicks, really the only person here to go positive with a 1.04. He did better in the second match of the weekend, but even here, I mean, only guy positive here, and he's definitely the guy that the Falcons are going to want to build around if this roster does not stay completely intact throughout the rest of the season and in future years. I think I could see him. I mean, if he's doing this to CDL Pro, so he's clearly on their level, and you just got to kind of get the right people around him here. So yeah, that's Toronto. Toronto just improving to 4-0. They are looking great. That Kleenex and Joe Sieves sub duo is looking amazing. Joe here with the 1.04, nothing to sneeze at for sure. And yeah, Toronto gets it done. And then we'll move on to Optic Texas's second match of the weekend. This was a little dicier here. Optic get it done 3-2. Wasn't exactly pretty. And like I said, Dashy here drops 110 kills on the series. Don't want to sneeze at Shotzi as well here. He put up 100 kills also, and just so happened to die 100 times as well. But Dashy was just frying this series, getting it done. And I think a lot of people have kind of forgotten in the past like year or so with Dashy kind of adjusted his play style a lot. I think a lot of people forgot how much of a shooter he really is. Obviously, you know, people think Dashy is still good, but kind of gets swept under the radar, especially with having a superstar like Shotzi on the roster. So a lot of people forget about how good Dashy is, and he shows it here with this absolute masterclass that he put on in this series. I will say here is where you can kind of tell it is a new team. You have a new team member in Hook and getting comfortable, and it's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows when you have a brand new roster. But again, with the break, I'm sure they will get broken in and get more comfortable as that goes on, and they get more practice together here. And yeah, I also wanted to mention, can somebody help Kismet out? I mean, holy shit. I mean, Priesta does go positive there, was putting out Dammy in the series, but Kiz looked like vintage Kiz, 99 Kismet. Kismet card was coming out in this series here. Drops a 1.24 on the series. He was looking great, but he just needs some help, man. Like, yeah, I mean, he's going plus 23, and everybody else is kind of hovering there around even. So need to see more help there for Kismet in this series. But yeah, I mean, yeah, and then I mean, Hook makes up for kind of makes up. He drops a .78 here on the series, and not the best series that we've ever seen from him by any means, but he does kind of make up for it here with the 1v2 to send it to 5-3 and pretty much ice the S&D and close out the series here. Picks off Priesta and then reads Lens here in bottom elevator. Gets the defuse on the bomb there. So I thought that was a really nice play. And just to show, I mean, Hook is one of those players that does not get checked when he is having like a bad series or a bad map. And just really, I mean, put that on display here to kind of close out the series and does it when it matters, performs when it matters. So love to see that out of Hook here. Kind of have that sort of resolve. But anyways, we'll move on here to the Carolina Royal Ravens. And I think this was probably the most surprising match of the entire weekend, to be quite honest with you right now. They 3-0'd Atlanta FaZe. Who would have thought? If you would have told me at the beginning of the year last year that the Carolina Royal Ravens, or even at the beginning of this season, that the Carolina Royal Ravens are going to 3-0 the Atlanta FaZe the first time they play them, I would have called you crazy. But here we are. They did that. But it also, I think it's time we stop getting surprised here by Carolina, you know, handling teams. They're showing that they can hang with top teams like the Atlanta FaZe, and FaZe is 1-3 right now, but I think we all know that they are still a top team at their core, and you know, it's not an easy feat to beat a roster like that, let alone 3-0ing a roster like that. So I mean, yeah, just looked absolutely great out of Carolina. Gwyn looked insane. Drops the 1.41 on the series. Tej has a 1.4 even as well on this series. So, I mean, the sub duo in general just looking great. But I think Gwyn might be my MVP right now. to be completely honest with you. He might be my whatever you want to call it, first 2 weeks pre-minor MVP per se, and he's just been absolutely shooting as well as Tej. So um, this is the first lackluster, well, not lackluster. Slasher was doing his job, getting things done, but this is the first series that we kind of didn't see Slasher like frying, and kind of fit into that role as the main AR on this team, and I think we'll probably see that more. Not trying to hate on Slasher at all. I mean, in the next series, I think he dropped like a 1.2 or something like that, but um, he just kind of let his guys get loose in this series, and I mean, it's great that you can do that as well as potentially go positive and fry if you need to. And I think that just speaks to the versatility that this roster has, and the ability that they have. So I think we got to stop acting like Carolina doesn't belong there. They're a top 4 team, and showing it here, at least early on in this game's life cycle. So great showing out of the Carolina Royal Ravens in the Atlanta phase. I mean, they really just looked like they could not shoot back, and Carolina is good and they are frying right now, but you also got a question here. I mean, FaZe they're just making a lot of mistakes. I think that's really what it is. Making a lot of mistakes, and a BZ really rough series, the .66 KD on the entire series here, so that's not very a BZ like. We rarely see a BZ dropping .6s on series, but like I said, I think they've got a long break here to talk about it, and they're not going to make a change by any means. I think they're going to lock in, get practice, and I think they will be fine, to be completely honest with you. So it may take a little bit of time, but this is the Atlanta phase here, and this roster has proven that they are a top cream of the crop roster for sure. So not losing my mind here at this phase 3-0, but definitely something to notice for sure. And then we'll jump to the Boston match here against the Vancouver Surge, and I may have been wrong about Vancouver. I know I talked about how they were kind of my dark horse sleeper roster that I was really fond of. They're 1-3, so I mean, not all is lost, but and this was also a map 5, like I mentioned. Boston Breach has just been getting it done in map 5s, but 2 rounds go another way, and Vancouver comes out of this. Who knows? They're 2-2, and we're not talking about them as in a negative light as we potentially are. But yeah, I mean, Breach, like I said, is just icing up. All of their matches so far have gone to map 5, and they are 3-1. So I think they have a couple round 11s too. Maybe I know one, maybe 2. But I mean, yeah, it says here. Oh, okay. So one of their losses was a round 11 here. So I mean, they could just as easily be 4-0. One loss against, I think it was Rocker, that they lost map 5 round 11. So yeah, I mean, Breach has just been icing up here. Their hard point looked insane. Vancouver looked very outclassed in both the map 1 and the map 4. We got a red carpet in map 1, and then Abuza was the only one to go positive here for the Surge in the map 4 vault hard point. So yeah, Breach's hard point has just been looking really, really solid, and yeah, overall, I mean, rough weekend for Hixie, I'd say. KD wise, I think a lot of them were struggling kind of in this series as well. So I don't wanna pinpoint Hixie alone here, but I think he's a good player, and I just want to see more from him, and I think he can step up in general. So yeah, that's all I really got to say here on the Boston Vancouver series. Oh yeah, let me talk about my picks. Day 1 here, I forgot to mention it, but day 1 I went 3 for 4, unless you don't count the C9 match when they beat Rocker. I said, like, if they fix their internet, they'll beat them. If they don't fix their internet, they will lose. And I guess they fix their internet because they win. But I don't know. I'm not gonna count it. So I'll say 3 for 4. I guess 3 for 3 if you wanna cross it out for day 1. And then day 2, just now the matches I went over with you, I went 2 for 4. Not as good a day for myself, unfortunately. I think I got who did I get wrong? I think I picked FaZe, and then I picked Vancouver. Okay. Yeah. So and then finally here on day 3, I go 4 for 4 on my picks for the first time. So a little pat on my own back there, but we'll kick it off here with the Toronto Ultra match against the Miami Heretics, and this actually goes to a map 5. So Miami Heretics almost reverse sweep twice this weekend. This time against the Toronto Ultra. I just don't ever see them pulling that off because their S&D is so terrible. I have not seen an S or a team with this bad S&D in a while. Again, it is early on in the game, and teams are learning the game, and that includes the Miami Heretics. But holy cow, I mean that their S&D is something they need to definitely work on, get at the wagers or something, man, because they're not winning right now. They're not gonna be able to win close series, close out map fives. I mean, they're able to take teams there, but if you can't win an S&D, you're never gonna be able to close that out. And yeah, I think Toronto is clearly better in this series, but yeah, I mean, you just they clearly outslayed them here. You know, all of their players are positive overall on the series, but you know, just dropping a couple maps. I mean, the skyline they kind of let get out of their hands, and yeah, I don't know. I'm not worried at all though. I think they got it done, and their S&D I know I said Miami's S&D is terrible, but Toronto's S&D is also pretty good. So that's definitely a strength that they have going for them for sure. And then FaZe does get their first win here, 3-1 against the Falcons. The Falcons go to 0-4 here. FaZe jump up to 1-3. That's definitely a win that you want to get on the board. I mean, as you look at it, it's a green carpet from the Atlanta FaZe here. They did their thing for sure. Looked like the original FaZe for the most part. They did make some mistakes here in the vault control, definitely. But and shoot, I meant to zoom in. That's my bad, guys. I meant to zoom in a little bit for you guys, but whatever. They did make some mistakes, like I said, in the vault control here. They may have gotten reverse sweeped. I could be wrong here with the specific rounds, but a couple mistakes in the vault control, and that aside, though, they looked really good. I mean, their hard point, they blew out the Falcons here in this, and yeah, I think Falcons is not a great team like we all know here, but FaZe definitely shows that they're a top team. And I mean, if you look at it specifically, not all teams have been beating Vegas in hardpoint 250 to 82 100-point clubbing them. So yeah, I mean FaZe still has what it takes for sure, and that kind of speaks to me saying I'm not like out on them by any means. And then again, I mean, Kicks, just the only one shooting back here. Drops a 1.23 on the series. King of Body looked very rough for the Falcons, but like I said, yeah, Kicks looked great in this series, and I think he's somebody that they will build around for sure going forward. But let's jump into the second to last series of the day here of day 3, Carolina versus Cloud9, and they reverse sweep. We've got the first reverse sweep of the weekend here. Carolina brings it back on Cloud9 New York here, and I think, yeah, I don't know. Let's look at the map one here because I think Gwyn was the one that got interviewed by them, and he said they just kind of came out slow when realistically, I mean, look at this. Gwyn is 1.4 on the map. Slasher does a 1.3. Tej is even here. Just a bad map from Vivid in general, but I think they were just kind of waking up a little bit and making some mistakes. And then you fall in the S&D here to Cloud9, and that's just, you know, Cloud9 looked good on that rewind S&D. And I'm gonna zoom back out so I can just fucking see everything. You guys can, yeah, whatever. But anyways, yeah, they kind of go down 0-2 here and then really show some resolve. I think they kind of looked like Octane called it. If you were in the Zuma watch party while this was happening, Octane was like he called it here as they started winning the control. He's like, this is the first reverse sweep of the season. And that's exactly what it was. They came out, did their thing on the protocol hardpoint. They looked insane there, and then closed it out on the vault S&D. And yeah, I mean this team is just looking solid here again. Overall in the series, Gwyn drops himself a 1.3. Slasher back to that kind of slaying that we were seeing in matches 1 and 2. And yeah, I mean this roster is just looking really solid. And then again here, rough series. Worse series for Attached than last time. Just a 0.78 and then another 0.66 for Sib here. So again, those two really need to get it figured out. This Sib has not looked like the Sib that we are used to by any means. I mean, we know he is a top of the ladder type of player, an elite slayer, and really good at getting kills, and he just hasn't really shown that yet. Granted, the first 2 weeks were kind kind of fugazi. Can't really blame him for that, but otherwise, I think he does need to step it up in general, and those two just kind of got to get on the same page, and Cloud9 needs to kind of revisit that, and I have full faith in them with accuracy at the helm there of the head coach position. I have faith in C9 to realistically look at what's going on and make changes and improve. So yeah, I was shocked though to see this initially, and Carolina just really here to play this season. But let's jump to the last match of the day, or of the weekend actually. LAT, and that's actually crazy. Hold on, did LAT play the first match? And that, yeah, they played. That kind of sucks for LAT. They played the first match of the weekend, and then they literally close out the weekend. So you have as much possible time in between your two matches as you can. So that, yeah, that's kind of a bummer for LA Thieves, but clearly doesn't affect them here. Well, maybe the hard point, at least this first red card hard point, they might have been getting a little bit warmed up as well. That this looked a little bit sloppy, a little bit more comfortable in the rewind hard point. But yeah, I mean they get it done. It was a little bit rougher of a series, I will say, for the subs here in Hydra and Envoy. They both dropped about zero point 0.9 on the series KD. So rough for them, but I mean, you had Scrap stepping it up here. Both the ARs, to be honest. I mean, Ghosty doing his thing. And Scrap dropping himself a 1.2 on the series as well. So both of those guys stepped it up, and I think Thieves just has so many weapons that, I mean, guys like Hydra and Envoy can take a series off, and you know, you've got guys around you that'll get the kills that they're usually getting, or clean up those kills that they're almost getting, and all that. So yeah, I mean, Thieves are looking great, and still I think are the favorites right now on paper, and they're kind of been showing it here in these first 2 weeks. But yeah, other than that, I think that's all we've got for the week 1 recap here, and then we'll go on ahead and jump into the minor 1 brackets. All right, sorry, I had to step away there. I needed myself a drink of water, but I am back, and we've got the bracket here in front of us now. And so, yeah, I mean, I do want to point out, a lot of people have been saying this thing is color coded here. You've got the blues, you've got the greens, you've got the reds and oranges, and then you've got the purples. That is hilarious. This is scripted or something, man. But yeah, I mean, we finally got our finalized bracket based off of seeding here. We've got the Royal Ravens with the first round bye. Boston Breach gets himself a first round bye. Los Angeles Thieves, of course, and then Toronto Ultra being undefeated. Boston Breach, I think, obviously won the head-to-head tiebreaker with Optic, was the other 3-1 team in 5th place. So that is going to be our first round buys. And what I wanted to do here, which I thought would be a little bit fun, is go through the CDL pick'ems and save them and see how we do here. So yeah, I've got a bit of notes written down, and then we're just going to go through each match and kind of give my thoughts, and then try and fill out a successful bracket here and see how we do. But first match, we've got Cloud9 versus Vancouver, and I think, like I said, we've got this break. I think Cloud9 locks it in here. It will be a close match. Vancouver's shown that they can go the distance with a lot of teams, but yeah, I don't know. I think Cloud9 showed signs just of being a solid squad. They went map 5 to Carolina. Granted, it was a reverse sweep, but did take them to map 5 at least, and they got the win versus the Rocker, the first one under their belt. I think they're going to lock in, get some coaching, and I think they come out here and beat Vancouver Surge round 1. Then we've got Optic Texas versus the Vegas Falcons. I'm going to go Optic maybe 3-1 here or so. Maybe Vegas steals like a S&D or a control, but I think Optic does get it done here. I don't got a whole lot to say. I mean, I think Falcons will get better, but I think Optic is going to benefit more from a break, and yeah, I just think they're going to get a lot of practice with the new roster and come out and get it done against Vegas round 1 as well. And then we've got the Miami Heretics versus the Atlanta FaZe here. I'm a pick FaZe 3-0, man. I think they lock in as well over the break, and I don't think Miami stands a chance. They're not going to take an S&D on them. I know that much, unless miraculously they improve their S&D in that month off. I don't see it happening. I think FaZe takes this one pretty easily. Then we've got, for the last round 1 match here, the Minnesota Rocker versus LAG here. And I'm going to go LAG. I'm going to go LAG 3-2. Rocker's been taking people to map 5 as well. And, yeah, but I think LAG locks in here over the break, and they get their first win of the season in the tournament. I think they do that and take over here against Rocker, and they get their first win to move on in the tournament here. I'm sure they'll be working on fundamentals. They've shown the slaying power, and yeah, I mean, Rocker did win the last time when they went 3-2, but I think LAG fundamentally locks in a little bit more, and this time they get it done in that map 5 search and destroy. And then let's go back up here to the top for our round 2. We've got the teams with first round buys now playing the winners of those first matches. Here we've got Cloud9 versus Carolina. I'm gonna say Carolina takes this one 3-1 against Cloud9. I don't think there's gonna be a reverse sweep this time around, but we will see. I think they started off kind of slow this weekend versus Cloud9 in that reverse sweep, but I don't see them coming out slow again in this match, and I think they get it done. Maybe drop a map or so against Cloud9 here, just with the way they've been playing. Then we've got Breach versus Optic Texas. I think I'm gonna go. This is gonna be a map 5 here, but I think Optic takes it this time. I think the map 5 ice for Boston Breach kind of runs out, and yeah, Optic capitalizes on that here, and they're gonna win this one. I think, to be honest, against them, they're gonna take it. Yeah, and I think Optic as well this time around plays a much more favorable map set now that they kind of have some data on Boston Breach. It was the first match, first time around, and so they didn't really know what Breach was fully good at. And yeah, this time they got a little bit more match data, and I think they make more educated picks in terms of what maps they actually play in their series. And then we've got the matchup I'm sure everybody is excited for here in round 2, the LA Thieves versus the Atlanta FaZe. Yeah, I'm gonna go LA Thieves here. I don't think FaZe. I think they're gonna be getting it done here against Miami. I think they lock in enough for that, but I don't think that they are gonna be on the level of Thieves come Saturday, January 11th. About a month away, or about 3 or 4 weeks away from now. So I'm gonna go with Thieves here. I'm actually going a 3-1. They may drop like a control or a hard point. Um, but yeah, I don't think FaZe are just gonna have it all figured out at least by this point, and their only wins at this point are gonna be two bottom teams like Miami and Vegas, and so that I don't think they just so happen to get a top of the league win under their belt in round 2 of this tournament or this minor here. So yeah, I don't know. And then for the last round 2 matchup, we've got Toronto Ultra versus LAG. I think Toronto Ultra wins this one. I'm gonna say 3-0. I think LAG barely squeaks out this map 5 against Rocker. Isn't really ready, and they just aren't gonna be ready for a Toronto Ultra team the next day. And I think Toronto comes out and kind of puts them on blast here, and yeah, I don't think LAG's on Toronto's level yet as of right now. And then we'll jump back up here to the Championship Sunday picks. We've got semis here, Carolina versus Optic Texas, and I think Carolina's on a roll here, man. I'm a go Carolina here on a 3-2. This could go either way, and honestly, I think I'm gonna say Carolina wins this one for my pick. If they lose it, I might say Optic like 3-0s them if they do lose this match. But I will say I think Carolina 3-2 Map 5 wins this match here. Just with like their momentum right now, they're going in. They've got to probably be like the happiest team right now going into the break, and I don't know. Maybe that'll bite them in the ass and they get complacent, but I doubt it. And I think after getting a win over a solid Cloud9 team here, they've got confidence, and they're going up against Optic here. I think Carolina takes this match and sends Optic out at top 4. Moving on to LA Thieves versus the Toronto Ultra. I'm going to go... this is the one I pondered over the most out of anything, and I wrote down Toronto. I wrote down Toronto taking this one. I think I'll just stick with it. Yeah, I'm gonna go Toronto. I'm gonna go Toronto here. I think Toronto takes at least a hard point on them. At least I'd say they take a hard point in both the S&Ds on them here. Win the S&D map 5 against LA Thieves. I think Thieves hardpoint looked a little sloppy, and they've had them go their way there at the end, getting down to crunch time. But I think here they lose at least one of those to Toronto. If they lose more, Toronto might get it done earlier, like in a 3-1 fashion. But I'm going to say this is a little bit of a reality check for LA Thieves, which is not going to completely chalk them. Obviously, it's just a minor tournament here online, but I think it will be healthy for this roster to, not saying you want to win everything, obviously, But I think with Toronto's momentum and LA Thieves looking a little bit shaky in their respawns, or at least their hard points this past weekend, I'm going to say Toronto Ultra wins this 1-3-2 and moves on to the finals there at 6 p.m. Or I guess it'll probably be, will that be 9 p.m. Eastern? I don't know. I don't know what this is in, but final match of the day, Carolina Royal Ravens versus the Toronto Ultra here. I'm gonna go Carolina, man. They've just been looking like the best team out here right now, at least from what we've seen. I mean, they've got wins against two, I would say two top teams, like top six, well, top six, top eight, I'd say with Cloud9, and FaZe is definitely a top four team, I think still. So yeah, I think they've got those wins under the belt, and they showed that they could do what they can do against teams that are obviously worse than them. I think Toronto's on their skill level, but I think they've just shown that they could beat teams like FaZe, and I think Toronto will not be not be a challenge, but I think they have what it takes to get the job done against Toronto Ultra, and obviously Toronto's hot right now as well. They're undefeated, and they'll be what, like 6-0. Both of these will be 6-0 at this point in terms of matches. But I think Toronto's streak gets put out to the Carolina Royal Ravens, which has the even hotter streak, and I think Carolina wins this tournament to kick it off, first tournament of the year. So that's what I'm thinking here for this bracket. It was a little shaky there about the LA Thieves one because I mean they're so good, but this tournament being single elimination as well, I think low key Thieves. Yeah, I think Thieves clears this bracket if it's double elimination. Like if you have to play, like say they lose to Toronto Ultra here, in winners, and then they drop down to a lose. If they play Toronto Ultra again, I don't think they'd lose. If that makes sense. And yeah, I think if this was double elimination, which I think it should be, yeah, I think Thieves wins this. But since it is a single elimination, I think the hottest team is going to win this tournament, and I think that is the Carolina Royal Ravens right now. So that's my pick for the winner, and those are my pick'ems here. And let's hit save these, submit them. Perfect, they're locked. This is what I'm going with, man. Hopefully I win. I think if you get them right, you can like win some cool shit. So I don't know. Let's we'll see what I've got there. And then I think I wrote down a bit of my thoughts here on, maybe I didn't. Did I? I thought I wrote down on the, okay, yeah, I wrote a little bit here about the minor in general just while we're talking about it. I think this is a great addition to the league in general. The league format, it makes online play a lot more exciting. Like watching, obviously it's great to watch league matches here at the beginning of the year just because like it's back and you're excited to see competitive Call of Duty in a professional setting. But as we move along through the year, league matches do get stale, and any online play is stale. So it is, I think, the right call to kind of spice things up here and play a tournament like this minor format that we have here. I think there should be one every major. I think from my understanding, there's only going to be one for this major and one for Major 2, and then it stops after that. I don't know why it does that. I think there should be one every year. I don't know if it's like budget-wise, they don't got the money for it or whatnot, but I don't know. I personally think, I mean, honestly, like I don't know exactly what the prize pool is, but like split it up among four. I think it's way better, and I think the players would agree that um, cut the prize pool down of the two of them and spread that across four over each major period. That's what I would do in my opinion. And then, like I said, last thing, I mean, this should be double elimination. Like, there's no reason this should be a single elimination tournament, in my opinion here. Um, Obviously, it would take a little bit longer, but I mean, that kind of throws it back to like the like older days of like 2Ks online and going late and yeah, the games would probably go late if we want to fit them in like a 3-day period here. Um, but I think that's, I mean, that's just what Call of Duty is, man. And you're having an online tournament. I think it allows you for a little bit more flexibility wise, and that's what I would do. I would have this as a double elimination tournament. That way, the true best team wins the tournament, not just necessarily the hottest. I'm not saying the team that wins this tournament it can't be the best, but I don't know. Just eliminating that like randomness, I think, is what we would like to see for this tournament, of course. But yeah, that's all I got to say on the tournament here. And then just any other CDL news. We do have a bit of information on the Pred situation here, and I'll just kind of briefly touch on it. He went live, I think, on Sunday night, I want to say, and he came on and said he's been dealing with like a lot of mental health issues for himself, and he himself has opted to take some time away from competing and get better mentally, and I really respect that personally. Obviously, as an Optic fan, you want him to get back as soon as possible. As a person, though, I really like the guy and hope he's dealing with the stuff. He wasn't real specific on exactly what individual issues were like what are plaguing him and what he's going through, which is totally okay. But he did shut down any matches or any rumors of gambling on CDL matches specifically. A lot of people were saying he was potentially like gambling on his own matches or gambling on other CDL matches or fixing his own matches. Just those were just rumors, is what he says, and I respect that. I believe what he says. If he says that's not true, he has no reason to lie about that. Um, so yeah, that's what he shut down. He did state that he is technically a free agent right now, not signed to Optic here. So he is his goal is to return after Major 1, whether that be for Optic or another org. It's still tentative, like he might need more time, and that's totally okay. You could see that happening 100%. And that's kind of why he's been taking this break and whatnot. Like he doesn't know how much time, and that's why he let Kyler come on or Hook step in for Optic there. So doesn't want to hold them up and leave everybody on edge, and just says get in there and go and play, and I'll come back when I'm ready. And so yeah, I will say I personally kind of think that not all the details were obviously not all details were shared, but I think everything there may be more things that come out years down the line about this particular situation. The way the contract and the affiliation with Optic has been handled is a little bit weird. I mean, if he were to come back after Major 1 and sign with another team, then essentially Optic just let a championship roster disband after 2 online matches with no compensation for Pred whatsoever. So I don't know. We'll see what happens here on the Pred situation. That's just all we really know right now at this point in time. But obviously, wish the best for him. Hope he's going through or able to get through what he's dealing with right now. And yeah, we'll see what happens with him. Hope the best for Pred, of course. Like I said last week, and I will reiterate it this week. Love Pred, love the player he is, and love the person he is. So yeah, best of luck there to Pred and dealing with all that. And then pretty much just wanted to take a quick peek at the KD leaders, what that's looking like here right now. We've got Gwyn at the top of it. He got himself a 1.33 on the season so far. Jumps Shotzi here. Shotzi's in the 2 slot now with a 1.27. Got Kicks there, sitting in at 3 with a 1.19. And Slasher, man, he's up there in that top 5. Dashy hops in there in that top 5 as well. Like I said, he had a really great weekend. So a lot of players here frying and doing their thing, man. I mean, just yeah. Kicks has been doing his thing here. He's got a 1.19 again. Yeah, that's all I wanted to touch on, and just kind of show you guys what the KD leaders on the season after those first 2 weeks are looking like. But other than that, I mean, like I said, we've got a long time until we've got CDL matches here, and yeah, it's gonna be a long wait. I think it's about 4 weeks or so if we look at the calendar here. What's today? The 19th. So we don't have matches for another about 3 weeks or so from now is when we'll be getting the next matches there on the 10th. So a lot of time for these teams to practice, and I won't have a whole lot of stuff to cover CDL-wise, so we'll see how much I go into depth on CDL. Obviously, if there's any news or anything that happens with the CDL, we'll be right on that for sure and mention it, or if there's any news on the Pred situation or any other roster news that comes up in the meantime, we'll 100% cover that. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe might do like some tier lists or something too if we need to fill some time. But yeah, I mean that's what I've got here for CDL, and I will definitely hopefully we have some news next week, at least some stuff going on that we can at least talk about and show it a little bit of love. But for now, that's all we've got with matches, and we'll go on ahead and jump into the college football section. And I will transition this into here. I must admit we actually filmed the football section of this podcast beforehand. So I'm going to transition over and just cut, and the football section will start right now with our special guest, and I will introduce him. Okay, we are live here now, and we have the first ever special guest on the Killstreaks and Kickoffs podcast here. I'll let you introduce yourself. I know a lot of people were probably surprised by this guest here. Not a lot of people probably guessed it, to be quite honest. So, yeah, I mean, just take it away and let the people know who you are.
Yeah, it's hard to get me on. I go by a couple different aliases, 50, 53, Noah. Um, been friends with Ruby. We're not going to say his real name just for sake, but
It's
yeah, I
okay.
decided.
I tell him my name.
Oh, okay,
I
Sam.
have it right there.
We'll dedox him. We won't go into last names or middle names. But yeah, I thought I'd hop on the football segment, give my take. Spice it up a little bit. We can argue, we can agree. Just kind of get two different views on it. I thought it'd be a good thing to do. But other than that, I'm just excited to be here, and I'm excited to talk about some exciting things that we have, especially for the NFL for me. But we're going to go ahead and hop into college, I believe. And Sam, I will let you kick that off.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got a bunch of college football stuff here that we're going over. Not as eventful of a week because we had not much going on here, but we'll just kind of run through just a couple college football news, information, stuff like that, and then pretty much get into the NFL. I just figured I'll just kind of bounce some stuff off, and we'll like you said, agree, disagree, and just yeah, get into stuff. So, like I said, we don't have a lot of news other than the big thing was the Heisman Trophy this past weekend. Travis Hunter won it. Congrats, Travis. Obviously, I kind of gave my thoughts last week just on the whole situation in general. I personally thought that Hunter deserved the award. I think also Ginty did, and we kind of went over it. I think they both deserved it. I think GT deserved it more. What did you kind of think on that? I don't know who you personally thought
I,
should have won the
I
trophy.
liked Travis Hunter winning it. Now, Genty did have an unbelievable season, and being from Boise State, now it is hard to get recognition in those schools. If you are not in a top four college, maybe top five football college,
Right.
it's very, very hard to get those awards. It seems like it's going to players that are in the same school every single year. So for someone out of Boise State to have that good of a year, it's
Yeah.
amazing. But then again, we're also talking about Colorado. Now, Colorado has obviously turned things around, um, but they're still not that top tier. So I definitely think he deserved it, especially going both ways, because he goes both ways. Am I correct? Yeah,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
plays corner as well. Or is it safety?
Corner. Yeah. He plays corner
It
and
is
receiver.
corner. Yeah, he plays corner. I mean, that kind of does it. I mean, I feel like you can't win an award if you have someone playing that well, playing both ways all throughout the game. And just to take it off track just a little bit, being from Colorado, I don't know if this is a rumor. This kind of ties into college and NFL. I don't know if you heard the rumor that Deion Sanders possibly might go for the head coaching job at Dallas and try and draft his own son. I don't know what you
Yeah.
think about that.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't think he'll be around Colorado for long. I don't know if he's like done enough though yet at this point for NFL teams to start offering him jobs. So I just don't see it happening, to be completely honest. But I don't know. I definitely don't think he plans on being at least at Colorado for a long time. Next step, I feel like though he's still got to like get to like a bigger program
I
than
think so as
Colorado in
well.
college. I think is his
I
next
think
step.
the one thing I will say is everybody looks at Colorado and they go, everybody had such high standards for him, and they expected him to come in and it's going to be an automatic, college football playoff. I
Yeah,
mean, I know it is a little bit easier with this new format, which we'll get into, but I mean, Colorado was terrible. I mean, they were terrible, and he's turned around and made it a winning team. And I'm not saying they're going undefeated, but I mean, a winning program from a winning season from a program that's been so terrible for so long. I
yeah,
mean, he's proved himself. I just don't know how
yeah,
the NFL or other
yeah,
programs are going to look at that.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's also proved himself by putting out or like recruiting and bringing along guys like Travis Hunter, and so I mean, yeah, obviously amazing player, and like I said, I think he deserved the Heisman. He's done something. I don't think there's ever been like a player that has been as good at offense and defense. I mean, we've had Charles Woodson back in the '90s win the Heisman for playing both, but I mean, nobody's been as good as Hunter. And Hunter, I think he did win the Bolitnikov for best receiver as well. So yeah, I mean, you can't complain about it. It's just it's so crazy that we had both of these historical seasons just in the same year, and I'm just glad, to be quite honest, that it wasn't a quarterback winning it because in recent years it's pretty much just seemed like oh, we give it to the best quarterback on the best team and call it a day. So, yeah, I don't
Perfect
know.
award.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm glad that that's how it went, but that's all we'll touch on the Heisman since we kind of touched into that a lot last week and gave my thoughts and arguments. But otherwise, I think we kind of just want to jump into like kind of the bowl games. We've had a couple. First and foremost, we did have before. I guess it's not a bowl game, but we had Navy upsetting Army 31-13. I did not expect that, just because Army was kind of having like a quite the season for. I think they were ranked like 22 or something going into this game, and so they were having a great season so far, and I just didn't expect Navy to come in and upset them. But I mean, it is a rivalry game, and like at the end of the day, they just run. Both teams just ran the ball. I mean, their quarterback, Navy's quarterback Blake Horvath, rushed for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and passed for another 2 touchdowns as well. So it's like I'm sure they just came in with game plans. That's just the only thing I wanted to touch on there. We don't need to go into too deep into the Navy or Army Navy game. But I am going to switch over to we've got the bowl games, kind of like a schedule here. Okay. Yeah, so we've had a couple bowl games. It is December 18th. That's the point that we are recording this right now. So we've had a few. There was one last night, and that was Memphis versus West Virginia. Memphis gets it done. I think they're ranked 25 going into this game, and they get it done barely against the West Virginia team. So probably didn't really expect that to be as close of a game it was. But love to see. I mean, my Memphis Tigers was my team that I rebuilt in college football 25. I know 50 was in those streams a little bit when those were happening, but love
I was.
love to see the Tigers getting it done, getting themselves a bowl game win. And then on last Saturday we had the Cricket Celebration Bowl where Jackson State beat South Carolina State 28-7. I think Jackson State is where Deion Sanders and Travis Hunter came from, where he was
Pretty sure.
previously. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, that program's still doing well and got themselves a little cricket bowl chip right there, and then
Hold up, yeah. Trophy.
holding up the cricket trophy, and then the IS4S Salute to Veterans Bowl. South Alabama takes it over Western Michigan, 30-23 there. So yeah, got it done for that Saturday slate there, and then we've got a couple coming up just like before Saturday and whatnot. I'm not gonna go into these, but we've got bowl games all the way until when's the last like non-college football playoff game? It looks like is it the ReliaQuest Bowl with Alabama and Michigan? Well, okay, all those games on Tuesday.
See that'll be a fun bowl game. See the problem with bowl games is it seems like nobody really cares about it unless your team is playing in one.
Yeah.
And even then, it's like if you win, you're like, great. It's nothing like to really celebrate. It's football. Don't get me wrong, but it's nothing crazy. I mean, honestly, when bowl games are going on before the college football playoffs start, I'm going to be looking at bigger names. Obviously, I want to see Florida play. They're playing in the. I'm not even going to try and pronounce what they're playing in the Union Home Mortgage Bowl. We're gonna leave that last one out for sake of pronunciation. And then obviously we're from Ohio, so Ohio is playing Bobcats. They're not that good, but I guess I'll root for them. But bowl games are, I mean, especially with this bigger college football playoff format. I mean, you got your teams that are playing in that, and it's just so much easier to follow rather than these individual bowl games, unless your team's playing in it, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think with the expanded playoff game, I mean that it's now taking precedent over all the New Year's Six like BCS bowls that previously was like
Yes.
everybody's goal to get into,
Yep.
and it definitely lowers the value of these other like smaller games. Obviously, like you said, I think the teams that like if you're a diehard Nebraska fan, hell yeah, like you had a decent season, you made a bowl game, you get to play against Boston College, who also had a pretty decent stadium or a decent season, and you get to play in Yankee Stadium in New York and like watch that happen. So that's cool if you're a fan of either of those teams, but if you're not and you're just like a college football fan in general, it definitely makes you like you don't care as much about those games if it's not your team, and it's one negative of the playoff. But at the same time also, I mean, you're giving teams like Boise State Arizona State chances to play in those bowl games, like those New Year's bowl games, and so I think that's also a plus. It's give and take. You're never gonna make everybody happy with this situation, so
I agree.
yeah. But yeah, so I mean, we still got, and at least we got football that can be on the TV like literally every single day of the week coming up in this next week. So that's good.
Have you gone through picks of who you think's going to win these different
Bowl games?
Yeah, these starting 4 playoff games.
Oh yeah, I kind of have. Let me know your thoughts on these games. I talked about it. I think last week is when I kind of gave like my guess for each of these 4 games here on the Friday and Saturday slate. So I mean, I said actually I don't remember completely honestly what I said for each of these. I think I picked all favorites. So like Notre Dame, I picked Penn State, I picked Clemson as my like upset, but like I still thought that Texas was gonna win, and then I picked Ohio State.
I
Um,
will agree. I think Texas is easily in there. I think Clemson's a good program, good team, but Texas, the year they've had, it's been good. Unless they have some jitters, I think they're gonna get a win.
mhm.
Ohio State, Tennessee. Now I'm hoping that Ohio State wins, but with that loss to Michigan, now me and Sam here are both Ohio State fans from Ohio. Both of us went to Ohio State. Ohio State fans, but I think they're going to get that win against Tennessee. If they do, I'm very excited for that Oregon rematch.
Yeah,
But I'm a little scared, to be honest with you. Penn State, I think, goes through. The only one is I think Indiana might have a chance to upset Notre Dame. Now, the reason I say that is Notre Dame is a good program, but it seems like for some reason all of their big games they falter.
yeah,
Now, it seems like once every 2 years, they'll win those big games, and everybody's like, yeah, Notre Dame is a good program, and they are. But I don't know if the pressure is going to be too much for
yeah,
them. I mean, I think they've made the playoffs before, and they've lost first round
yeah. I
when they
think
did.
they made one of the 14 playoffs and lost first round, and then I know they lost like the last year before it wasn't a 14 playoff. I know they got their ass beat, I think, by Alabama in that one. It's like what 2013, 2014, and like yeah, like you're right. In big games, they haven't really shown that they can do a whole lot. They don't play a conference championship game for one thing because they're independent and don't play in one. So they don't have that like momentum or experience at the end of the year each time to beat a high ranked team or at least the best team in their conference besides themselves. And yeah, I definitely actually now that you mentioned it, I think I could see an upset here. Also, what I said last week was they're both in Indiana, so like Indiana fans might travel well to this game. I mean, they're only I think 3 hours away is what I looked up and saw. So I don't know if home field advantage will play as huge of a role in this. Obviously, it is at Notre Dame, but um, yeah, I don't know. I could definitely see that game as well. What about? I mean, you think the favorites win in the other 3 too?
I think the favorites win it in the other 3. The only one I'm skeptical of, and obviously you can disagree with me. I know you're a lot more of a diehard Ohio State fan than I am. Now I'm a fan. Obviously, they're my favorite college football team. Like I said, we both went there. But I hope we win, and I think we will. But I will just say I won't be surprised
Yeah.
if we don't. I won't be surprised if we don't.
Yeah, my thing, and I don't remember if I said this last week or not, but my thing is that I think we are the better team. I think we're the better team than the majority of these teams in this playoff. I think Ohio State is like pound for pound objectively a better team than
I,
pretty
I,
much
I agree.
pretty much all of them but Oregon, but it's a matter of if we shoot ourselves in the foot and not like we're gonna have to play 4 games, so not shooting yourself in the foot four games in a row, and yeah,
It's tough for Ryan Day.
yeah,
It's tough for Ryan Day.
we will.
Um,
If Ohio State loses this game, they will have beat themselves in this game, I think.
if Ohio State loses this game, I already think Ryan Day, and I don't know. Obviously, I don't work there. I have no idea what's going on and what his relationships are, how they feel about him.
Right.
I think he's already wavering as head coach, but I think if Ohio State loses to Tennessee in this first round
Yeah.
exit, I think it is 100% certainty that Ryan Day will be gone. Now, if we make it past the first, I think there's an argument for him. But I think if we lose to Tennessee in that first round, as, I mean, I know it's 8 and 9 seed, but still the upper seed to try and get that rematch against Oregon. Every Ohio State fan wants to see it. I think if you lose that
Home game too.
home game, I think you're done.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if he loses this game, he's out. I think if he gets his ass beat by Oregon, he's out. If they win this week and then they play Oregon next week and he gets his ass beat, I think he's out. I think he's also out if they lose to Oregon on some bullshit again, like Will Howard sliding with 0 seconds left on the clock and the time expiring, and Ryan Day just like totally miscoaching the whole situation. So, yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh,
No, you go ahead.
So one thing I will say, I know we're harping on Ohio State a lot, and like I said, we're both from Ohio State. So
Yeah.
if there is anybody watching this that is, has a bigger team they like more, we're kind of narrowing into them.
Yeah.
I will say it is hard from not a Michigan or Ohio State fan's perspective to understand how much weight weighs on that Michigan-Ohio State game.
Yeah.
And the fact that he is continuously losing again and again is not good for him. Like, that will cost you your head coaching job.
Yeah.
Like, I know people will look at Ohio State from an outside of the box perspective that's not right there, and they're like, they had a good season, they made the playoffs to the 8th seed, 2 losses, like, it's a good season. But when you lose to Michigan, that completely changes everything as that head coaching job. And I hope he's gone personally. So that's why I kind of wanted to get into that a little bit.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in that game specifically. That's obviously the game I'm most excited for, but also excited to see if we do actually see any of these upsets that we potentially talked about. So yeah, that'll be this weekend, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. But I think that's pretty much everything college football related that I wanted to touch on. And now we're gonna kind of jump into NFL. We just had week 15, so we are getting down to the absolute wire of the season here. And yeah, I mean, it's very exciting. I think this is like, obviously playoffs is really fun, but I think these last like 3 or 4 weeks of the NFL is also super fun because you get to see teams like battle out in a division who are at the top of the division. Then you also get to see teams make like incredible runs and qualify for the playoffs if that ever happens. And yeah, I just think it's a really cool time. Like December football is December and January football is really fun in the NFL to watch. So yeah, I mean, we had a great week here, and starting it off, we'll just jump into like the scoreboards and peep in with all these like playoff teams that are, or potential playoff teams that played games this week. And starting it off, we've got the Rams versus Niners. Your 49ers couldn't get it done against the Rams this week. This is a sloppy game. I mean, 12-6. It did not look good. I mean, I'll kind of let you just take the floor on this one, since as a Niners fan.
So it's been a season, I'll tell you. I mean, from injury perspective, even the stuff that's been happening off the field, I mean, it's been completely unreal. We've had so many injuries plague us. I mean, that's still not an excuse. I mean, we have players that are not injured that are still playing. The main thing I've seen this year and against past years, I mean, when we've had a worse team statistically. I mean, when we were going to when we went to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm, I mean, Deebo Samuel was a rookie. Nick Bosa, I don't believe was on the team. He was not on, or maybe he was. I don't think he was on the team. Either way, I mean, that team, like, it was a lot of young people and a lot of really older players. But the thing that got us together wasn't Jimmy Garoppolo, although I thought he was a good quarterback. It was how we acted as a team. It feels like this year everybody's fighting with each other. Everybody has to say something. Everyone wants to prove something. Obviously, Ayuk with this holdout, and I know that's so long ago. All that for some money for him to get hurt and him to drop passes in week 1, week 2, missing training camp. I mean, it's been unbelievable.
As a fantasy owner, I'm not happy. As a Brandon Ayuk fantasy drafter, I am not happy at all with that. But go on.
It's been terrible. Deebo Samuel, he's tweeting these things out saying, I need to get the ball more. And then, he doesn't do anything with it. Brock Purdy, I do still think he's a top 5 quarterback, and people can argue with me on that. I genuinely believe he is. He gave him the ball more this past game. So I like all these games. I watch them all. I watch all 49ers games. Deebo Samuel got a lot of touches this week, and he didn't do much with it at all. But then he says, I'm just saying that. I don't have any hatred. But then just don't say it. It's a lot of off-the-field stuff. Campbell walking off the
That
field
was
in the third
crazy.
quarter.
That was
saying,
crazy.
I'm not coming back. Dre Greenlaw is one of the best linebackers in the NFL. I don't think anybody doubts that. And you knew that your position was to be there to back him up. I mean, you got lucky. We picked you up from free agent, from being dropped by the Packers to play, and you're getting paid, you're getting this money, you're getting an opportunity to play. Even if you go out and Dre Greenlaw plays, other teams see you that you played good this season, you might land a winning or a starting spot in another team. But now you've lost that. You're walking off the field in the third quarter.
And I
That's
guess
unbelievable.
I don't know if you know any update on it, but I'm pretty sure that the Niners were like trying to levy for the NFL so that they could suspend him so they do not pay him and he can't sign to a new team. Did that ever like go through?
Yeah, so it did. So what they did is they suspended him for 3 games, and now they're fighting to actually get his bonuses and some of his salary back, which I believe they're going to win. But yeah, they did that suspension for 3 games where no other teams can pick him up. They worked that around. I don't want to talk too much on it. The last thing I will say about the 49ers and the Rams game, sloppy field goal game. Last thing I'm going to harp on. Brock Purdy's contract extension. That's been a big thing this past week and the week before. So he's asking for top dollar is what is being said. And I'm going to fight tooth and nail to say I think we deserve to pay him that money. Now, the reason I say that is he's led us to an NFC championship. He has led us to a Super Bowl. Now, I know we didn't win that Super Bowl. We went to overtime, and you can say, what you want about the Chiefs. There's a lot of holding. It could have gone either way.
It could have gone either way. I mean, yeah, he could be a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
He could right now if some things change. You're paying Dak Prescott. You're paying Kirk Cousins. You're paying all these quarterbacks who have never proven themselves, always had a playoff drought, millions and millions and millions of dollars. And because Brock Purdy has one semi-bad year. He's still not even playing bad. He's having a decent season.
Yeah.
He has one semi-mediocre season. You're like, no, I don't want to pay him. At the end of the day, it's a business. If you want Brock Purdy, you either pay him or he's going to leave. If you're paying Dak Prescott, someone who has really accomplished nothing in his career, that much money, then, why are you looking at Brock Purdy and you're saying, no, we're not going to give it to him?
Right.
That's all I'm going to say about that. We can jump into the Chiefs and the Browns.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't have a lot to say about this game. The Chiefs improved to 13-1, and they smacked the Browns here. Like, that is what it is. They're 13-1 now, like best record in football after the Lions losing. So, I said it last week. This is one of their few games that they've won by more than 2 scores. I think 10 of their 13 wins are like by a point or like by a single score or less. So finally get one and get the job done against the Browns, which is a bad team, and that should be the case. So they improved to 13-1 there. The Commanders was the other game that I have marked down here. They squeak one by the Saints 20-19, so that's good for them. Obviously looking for a wild card spot. The Ravens smoked the Giants, and yeah, that was expected there. The Giants are 2-12. This is one of the worst Giants teams we've seen in a while, bar Malik Neighbors. So they improved to 9-5. That was a big win for the Ravens just to do the job there that they're expected to do, and also with the Steelers losing. We'll talk about that more when we talk about the AFC North Division in general. But yeah, Ravens get that done. The Texans here beat the Dolphins 20-12. Yeah, big for the Texans as well, just for like if they're trying to get a better seed. I know they might have, I think they clinched their division. I'll check again when we go there, but I think they've checked or clinched their division, and now they're really just playing to potentially get a better seed in that AFC playoffs. So big win for them. Also wanted to mention Tua, 3 interceptions, single-handedly lost me a playoff berth in fantasy this past week. So that will be the last time I ever draft Tua Tagovailoa. Well, actually, I didn't even draft Tua Tagovailoa. I drafted Anthony Richardson, so fuck him too. But that'll be the last time I draft at least Tyreek Hill and pair that with Tua in my life. But Holy shit. So, yeah. Anyways, that's the Texans. They got it done. Um, Another one, the Broncos here get it done against the Colts 31-13. That's a big one for them because the Chargers lost this week as well. So they're in their division and fighting for an AFC wild card spot. Big win for the Broncos there. The Bills beat the Lions. This is probably the game of the week for sure. I don't know if you caught it. I didn't really see a whole lot other than the Dan Campbell. I don't know if you saw it, but he goes for or attempts an onside kick with like 12 minutes left in the game, up 10. What do you think of that? Because I mean, everybody loves his like aggressive play style, but I mean, you live by it and you die by it. So I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Dan Campbell is a great head coach. I may even say that he could be the best head coach in the National Football League right now. Just the way he's coaching and, like you said, that aggressiveness. I mean, it makes it fun to watch, but he's winning as well, which makes it even better for them. You live by it, you die by it. I don't know if I agree with that term. I don't think you do that. I don't know what the call was. I don't know what was being thought or
Yeah.
being said that you try and pull that off. You're in a close game. Like there's no need to do that. I mean, especially if he calls that with old kickoff rules, then maybe I give him props because you can catch someone off guard and you can do it.
Yeah.
But if you're telling the other team with 10 minutes left, hey, I'm going to onside kick this, you guys just line up and be ready. Like, it's just not happening. I know the statistics on onside kicks are already low.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason they were even a thing was because of mostly the random fake kickoffs that you would have.
Yeah.
I think it was a very, very dumb decision.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, and I think he took accountability for it and said, yeah, that was stupid. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. And obviously hindsight is 2020, but I mean, yeah, it was a stupid decision, especially now that we know that the Lions did end up putting 42 points up, and like I think Mac Hollins like returned the onside kick down to like the 5 yard line. It's another free 7 points for the Bills, and who know? I mean, who knows what would have happened? I don't know. The Bills might have gone down and scored anyways, but. Yeah, I mean that just can't be happening. So, but yeah, I don't know. He's. I saw somebody say something really interesting, and I don't know if I totally agree with it, but it was like Dan Campbell's coaching style is what is what makes the Lions as good as they are, but it also has a potential to like lose them a Super Bowl. And I thought that makes sense. Like if he makes like a call like that in the Super Bowl, his head will be on a stake. And yeah, we kind of saw a display of it there in a big game. But I mean, not to discredit the Bills, that was an amazing game from the Bills, and they are rolling. I think they are peaking at the perfect time of the year at the end here. And I this Bills team, I didn't expect the Bills to be this good this year, to be completely honest. Like losing Diggs, losing weapons. I didn't think their offensive weapons were all that great last year, anyways. And yeah, I just didn't expect overall, but I mean this is clearly a system that's firing on all cylinders. So loving what we're seeing from the Bills right now. And then the Eagles pull it off versus the Steelers. I think this was a relatively sloppy game for both sides, despite the Eagles winning by two scores here. But either way, they get it done. Like I said, this is a rough loss for the Steelers. We'll talk about it more once we get to the division. But going down this week, while the Ravens win to the Eagles, not ideal.
Real
But
quickly, how do you feel about Russell Wilson this season? How do you feel about his
yeah,
play?
I think it's been good. Obviously, this game, like no, but I think overall over the course of the year, I think it's actually been like pretty good. I obviously being an Ohio State like Justin Fields fan, like I wanted Fields to completely stay in. He went 4-0 at the beginning of the year, and was playing great. Like the game plan looked. I mean, I'll revise that. I don't think they were looking great. I think they were getting wins and getting the job done, and he was doing what was needed of him and like making athletic plays because he is an athlete. But so I wanted Fields in, but when I saw Russell Wilson, this offense looks different with him at the helm. He looks like a
It does.
legitimate like quarterback that is facilitating an offense. And yeah, I think the Steelers are a legitimate contender with Russell Wilson still at the quarterback position. He's been there. He's won Super Bowls. He's been to more Super Bowls, and I don't see why he couldn't do that with the Steelers this year. And if I'm the Steelers, I'm at least letting it ride out here with Russ, letting Russ cook. I don't know what you think.
Dangerous.
Do you agree or disagree?
I agree. And I'll touch more into it later, kind of when we go into kind of playoff picture. But I agree. I think Russell Wilson has played good football. Now, the hardest thing to distinguish is if he is now, and this is going to sound crazy, whether the Steelers have reverted him back to his Seahawks, his franchise, not franchise, his system quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So, because you can look at him in Denver, and I mean, that was some of the worst football that I have ever seen in my entire life. I mean, it's terrible. So it is really hard to tell whether he's doing these things. And obviously, he's making good plays. He made good plays in Denver, but they're winning now.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell, whether he's just right now a system quarterback or if he's really kind of stepping into his own and possibly lead the Steelers deep into the playoffs.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm definitely excited to see it. The Steelers are pretty fun to watch. So, and yeah, the offenses look better this year than recent years for the Steelers, so that's certainly a breath of fresh air for them. But yeah, moving on to the Cardinals, they beat the Patriots. This is a big week for them in that NFC West. That division is super tight, so they get it done. Good for them. The Bucks beat the Chargers here, 40-17. Just absolutely smacked them. Didn't really expect for that to be such.
Yeah, Chargers have been playing pretty good this year.
Yeah, no, I didn't think the Bucks would do it, but big win for the Bucks, and like I said, that's a really bad loss for the Chargers fighting for an AFC wild card spot. I mean, the Bucks are in a completely different boat. They're at the top of their division in the NFC, and the Chargers, on the other hand, at the same record, funny enough, are at the almost the bottom now and gonna scrape for a wild card spot. So rough for them there in that game. And then we had Packers Seahawks here. Packers get it done against the Seahawks. Rough L for the Seahawks here, being in that same division as the Cardinals there in the NFC. So, and I mean, they wasn't even close, 30-13. I mean, holy shit. But big win for the Packers as well, because I mean, they still are trying to be at the top of the wild card in their division. They play at a very tough division with the Vikings and the Lions, but yeah, getting it done in conference there for the Packers. And then speaking of the Vikings here, we got them getting it done against the Bears, 30-12 in this game. So this was really big for them. I think more so to just capitalize on the Lions losing to the Bills earlier in the day, or I guess earlier on Sunday. So yeah, they now have the same record, and it's much tighter of a race than it was last week for sure. And then last game, the Falcons beat the Raiders 15-9. That game was very ugly as well. They snapped like a 4-game losing streak, I want to say the Falcons did, and got back up to 500. So that was big for them, and their division's still tight. I mean, like we just saw, the Buccaneers are 8-6, and so the Falcons are definitely not out of this by any means. But did want to talk about and get your thoughts on as well. I don't know if you heard, but the decision to put Michael Penix at starting quarterback next week. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how this decision just kind of randomly came about after a win, but I guess they're doing it. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do, and actually, I got some statistics here to kind of talk about, because this is very interesting to me. So I hope Penix does good. I never, hope for a rookie quarterback to go in there and not do good. Mm-hmm. I will say this year, I have been unimpressed with rookie quarterbacks. I will say the one standout has been Jane Daniels.
Yeah.
He has been amazing. He's been playing great. I mean, I think they're going to be in the playoffs, in my opinion. I mean, I think they're in there.
Yeah.
They're a shoe-in. Kirk Cousins and Penix. Let's talk about this. So going back against the Saints, Kirk Cousins throws for 0 touchdowns and an interception. November 17th against the Broncos, he throws for 173, 0 touchdowns and interception. Chargers, December 1st, he throws for 245, 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Now the Vikings, he throws for 344, still 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That is 4 weeks in a row where you're not throwing a single touchdown and you're throwing an interception. And then the Raiders, Ritter was at the helm for the Raiders. He throws 1 touchdown, but he also gets another interception in there. It's been a terrible year for Kirk Cousins. The one thing I will say about the Falcons is they paid Kirk Cousins a decent amount of money.
A lot,
I'm pretty sure
yeah,
a
lot.
He had a real big contract. But then you go ahead and you draft Penix. In my personal opinion, you know, if you're wanting to get Penix in there, I understand maybe they want him behind a seasoned quarterback, someone like Kirk Cousins who's been there, and maybe they think, you know, he's going to sit for a couple years before he goes. But it honestly, in my opinion, would have been smarter for them. I mean, they're not having a great season to go ahead and keep Ritter, let Ritter play out, and let him and Penix fight for that spot. I mean, that's what the Steelers did with Fields and with Russell Wilson, and they've been having a good season. I didn't mind that quarterback change, and I think they both played great. But I would have much rather them kind of test Penix's abilities rather than him kind of been thrown into this, and now they are down a lot of money. And, you know, seems like he didn't really learn too much from Kirk Cousins with the way he's been playing. Who knows how those practice talks are going. I'm excited to see him play. The Falcons, I feel like, are kind of shooting themselves in the foot, like you were saying earlier with somebody else.
See, my thing that just doesn't make sense with this is it seems like we have like differing agendas or something with the front office and the decision making that's being made, because like, I mean, first of all, like you said, Kirk Cousins at the beginning of the year gets signed for a multi-million-dollar extension, and it was like it's multiple years. I don't know the exact details on the conference or on the contract, but it is a big contract. So there's step one, and then we go and draft him, and that's fine. You know, like plenty of teams do that. It's a little weird that they do it the same year that they're signing somebody, but plenty of teams, like, I mean, look at Jordan Love, look at Aaron Rodgers, like all those situations where teams with a veteran quarterback sign somebody to sit under them. And I think actually we should do a lot more of that. I know Tom Brady has kind of speaked on it and how quarterbacks are always expected to jump out as a rookie and be amazing and have no time to develop, and I think we're doing them a disservice. I totally agree with that. So I like the idea to draft Penix or draft a young guy at least to sit behind him and at least learn the game for a couple years. What I don't get here is the Falcons are still 7-7. So, like, I don't understand, and you just got to win. So obviously you haven't been playing great, and Kirk hasn't been playing great, but you just got to win finally. And I don't know, I don't understand it here. Like you have a chance to potentially win your division because your division is dog shit. And second of all, potentially make a wild card if you don't end up winning the division. You're still 7-7. You could easily get in at 10-7 or 9-8. So I don't know why randomly with 3 games left in the season for you, you're just gonna randomly switch up and okay, hey, here rookie, go qualify us for the playoffs. I think that's doing an immense disservice to Penix, like developmentally. I think that it's almost disrespectful to both of them, to both of the quarterbacks here. I mean, we paid Kirk all this money to do what he's doing, and obviously, like you said, I mean he's been doing terrible, but let him be terrible. I don't know. I mean, what are you gonna do if you do get in the playoffs if Penix gets you there, and then Penix, who's never been in an NFL playoffs before, okay, you get out first round. Like I just don't see the end goal of this plan. I don't see the direction that the Falcons are going in, and I don't think this will end well. Period. But I am excited to see Penix play. Definitely.
It's a very rare situation for a rookie quarterback to come in that late in the season and just pop off and not to really go back to Brock Purdy here, because you know I like him, but I mean that was a different circumstance. I mean it's not someone getting just taken out and they're like, here Brock Purdy, go ahead. I mean you had Trey Lance starting that season, goes down with an unfortunate injury. Then you still have Jimmy Garoppolo, the guy who's led you to a Super Bowl, to come in back up. I mean, he was a third-string quarterback. So, I mean, that's a completely different situation. Jimmy Garoppolo goes down, and he's kind of forced into that. They're kind of not forcing Penix into this. They're kind of giving him the helms. And that's a completely different way to play football. I mean, Brock Purdy's going in there with, you know, these two are hurt. There's like
it's almost like a fuck it mentality, like nothing to lose.
Fuck it.
But
I'm going to go in there. I'm going to do it. Penix is going in there with I got to make this team win. Like you said, we have a chance to make the playoffs. But it's going back to, I hope he does good. I'm scared he's not, just because of how bad the rookie quarterbacks have been. Like I said,
Yeah.
Jane Daniels, only good quarterback out of this class so far. Now, J.J. McCarthy, who knows how he's going to play out, or if he even going to play out next year the way Sam Darnold's playing, which is never thought I would say that.
No.
Sam Darnold is having a hell of a year. But J.J. McCarthy, he was the number 10 pick. That's the only other quarterback, I believe, that we haven't really seen. I'm trying to think. Bo Nix is still going in Denver. PENIX is going to step up. We're going to see that. Drake May, I'm not sure if Drake May is starting or not. I don't believe he is.
Yeah, he's been starting. He wasn't initially, but he's been starting. He has. I mean, the Patriots are what, 3-11. So I mean, he hasn't won a game with them.
He hasn't done anything. And then obviously the biggest bust of the year, in my opinion, even though they're not as bad as some of these other quarterbacks, but Caleb Williams going number 1 to the Bears. The Bears have been terrible. I watched a great video the other day about the history of the Bears quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's the Bears and it's just their organization. They can't get a quarterback doing good, but he just hasn't been impressive to me. I'm not saying he's terrible yet. Who knows? It's still so early, but the only person who's really shocked me this year has been Jane Daniels with the rookies.
Yeah, and I don't think we'll be shocked by PENIX either. Just making it realistic. I certainly hope we are, but I don't know. That's the Falcons. Who knows if they'll even make the playoffs, and we'll even be talking about them in 3 weeks. But yeah. So that's all of week 15 here. It was a pretty exciting week, and I mean, just like I said, this time period in general is very exciting. But we'll kind of look here at the division standings and see if there's been any changes or any clinchings here. AFC East, obviously no change. The Bills have won that outright. AFC North, the Steelers do actually somehow, despite losing, they clinch a playoff berth this week. So whether that be division champion or a wild card spot, they're going to be in the playoffs somehow here. And let me zoom in a little bit. It's kind of hard to see. Okay. Yeah, and so, but yeah, I mean, they only lead the Ravens by a game now after this kind of two game swing where the Steelers lost and the Ravens won this past week. So, yeah, that's gonna be crazy. I want to say they play next week, the two teams, on Saturday, or I guess this Saturday. The two teams play each other, so that's gonna be a huge game. For that, I don't know if you think who do you think is going to take this division, the Ravens or the Steelers?
I think the Steelers are going to take it. Now, the thing I will say about the Ravens and the Steelers, in my personal opinion, I know the Bengals have not had a great season. I know the Browns have had a terrible season. Still, I genuinely believe that the AFC North is maybe the best division right now in the NFL. The only thing I will say about that, I don't really think it matters either way. I think the Chiefs are going to clinch that 1 seed. And I think at this point, the Steelers, I think you just need to be happy that you made the playoffs. I don't know how much of an accomplishment is going to be to get that higher seed. I mean, the AFC is pretty strong all the way around. I guess you can, you go to that higher seed, you play a lower seed. But even those lower seed teams that are going to be in there, I mean, it's going to be a little scary. I guess the Broncos, the Chargers, I think the Chargers have been playing better than the Broncos. I think the Broncos their schedule doesn't really reflect how they've been playing. But at this point, I just think you just be grateful that, you clinched a wild card. At least, but I think the Steelers will hold on.
Yeah, I think they will too. I mean, obviously, it's really going to come down to this game next week. Like, if whoever wins that game, well, I don't know. The Steelers have a 1-game lead going into this game, so they're at a better odds, even if they lose this game, to still finish out those last 2 weeks stronger than the Ravens and win the division still. But yeah, it's going to be really hard either way for whoever loses this game, especially the Ravens, if they were to lose the game this week, to come back and. I don't really see the Ravens winning if I had to guess right now, but I don't know. We'll see. But that's the AFC North, and then we've got the AFC South. I think the Texans clinched the division officially this week as division champs, so good for them. And then the AFC West, like we were just talking about, the Broncos actually moved ahead of the Chargers. I know you said that you don't really expect them, or you don't think that they're better. I don't know if this will end up staying the same placings wise at the end of the season here, but we'll see what happens there. Obviously, the Chiefs have won that. We'll jump to the NFC East here. The Eagles get a victory this week against the Steelers, like we said. I think they clinched playoff berth last week, but they have not clinched the division yet. We've got that Jaden Daniels and Washington Commanders squad still on their tail. I think the Eagles are going to win this. I just think mathematically they haven't pulled ahead with it technically yet. So yeah, I think the Eagles win that division there. No change really from last week. And then the NFC North, obviously we saw the Lions lose, go down. I mean, this division is just insane records wise. I mean, you got three teams with 10 wins or more, and then obviously the Chicago Bears suck. But this top three here, I mean, I don't know. I think I wrote down, yeah, the Lions and the Vikings play on January 5th. I think I mentioned that last week as well, but they play each other last week of the season. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens there. I don't know if you got your pick on who you think's going to win this game. I know both have qualified, or the Vikings clinched the playoffs this past week. Both have qualified for the playoffs here. So it's really just going to be a matter of who wins this division. I don't know. I don't know who you think personally.
I think it's gonna be the Lions. I think the Vikings are, and I hate to say it, I think they're frauds.
Yeah.
At least when it comes to the playoffs. Now the Vikings may sneak it out and win the division. I think the Lions will. But if we're talking about playoffs, in my personal opinion, when the bracket is set, there's some teams that are in the playoffs that just don't scare me. So even though the Vikings are going to be in the playoffs no matter what, when they're in there, if someone's facing them, I'm not really going to be too worried. I mean, really the biggest names coming out of the NFC that I really think have a chance to take it are going to be the Eagles. It's going to be the Lions. It's going to be the Rams. And then the Commanders are kind of your wild card. The reason I say that is a lot of these other teams, they make playoffs year after year, but they don't go deep. The Eagles have proven that they can go deep. The Lions have proven they can go deep. They went to the NFC Championship last year. And I know you can say they didn't make the Super Bowl, but even getting to that point, I mean, that's not easy to do. Vikings have once, as many times, kind of proven that they can't make it in the playoffs. They can't stick. Maybe they make it past that first round. They don't really ever make it past that second round. The Packers have proved that they can make it deep. I know they've had a lot of changes. They got Jordan Love at the helm, who's also getting a crazy, crazy salary. I know they're very new, but that organization, when you see you're playing the Packers, you kind of worry a little bit. You go, the Packers, they know how to win. I know that's kind of off topic, but the NFC has been kind of boring this year besides the NFC North. But I think the Lions are going to go ahead and kind of take that and bring it home. I think Dan Campbell, genuinely, I think he's going to make a Super Bowl this year. I know it's kind of early to tell, but I think the Lions are probably going to win the whole NFC and that division.
Yeah. I think I agree too. I mean, Sam Darnold he's been playing great, but I don't think that like him at quarterback is a super sustainable system to be quite honest. And yeah, I playoffs wise, I certainly think the Detroit Lions are going to go further than the Vikings, but I think the Lions also win the division. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the NFC North. And then we've got the South here. This division is just awful. Holy shit. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here at the lead of the division, but like we were talking about the Falcons, they're only a game back with a win, so they could still win this. I think still the Saints are not mathematically eliminated. I think they could still either make the playoffs. I don't know if they could win the division, but if they were to win every single game, that won't happen. But yeah, I mean, this division is just really terrible, so there's not much else to say there. And then we've got, to wrap it up, the NFC West here. The Rams now lead this division with the tiebreaker advantage over the Seahawks. I think they have a better division record, or better division record. I don't know if they've played head-to-head yet this year, but the Rams are going to have that advantage, tied at 8-6 here. And yeah, like you said, I think the Rams are probably the best team here in this division. I know earlier, a couple weeks ago, when I filmed my first episode, I kind of picked the Cardinals to come out of this division, but kind of retracting that near. They still could. I mean, honestly, any of these teams still could win this
This is the
division.
weirdest division in
Yeah,
going on right now. I mean, every single team somehow can win this division. Now, I
yeah,
think it's going to be the Rams, but I mean, obviously, I follow this division being a 49ers fan. This division has changed every single week.
yeah.
So obviously, we're going to see another change next week and the week following. But I think the Rams are going to go ahead and seal it.
Yeah, I think they will as well. I think they probably are the best team. I don't think the Seahawks are legit in terms of making like a playoff run or anything here. But yeah, I think the Rams have just been looking really solid, probably better than what their record shows right now. But I don't know. This division has just kind of been trading blows, and we'll see whatever the hell happens. I mean, your Niners could literally even win this division if they were to win out. So.
Very unlikely, but the fact that it is a possibility, gives me hope. But
Yeah,
I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, it's insane. And like you said, the Rams, I don't think their record reflects at all. I mean, they beat the Bills.
yeah,
That's not an easy team to beat.
yeah,
I think the Rams will go ahead and seal it, but who knows?
yeah.
Next week you could be saying the Seahawks are on top, and then the week after you could be saying the 49ers are on
Right.
top, and the final week somehow the Cardinals will win the division.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
We'll have to see with that division, but it's definitely at least it's exciting to watch for sure. But let's tap in here one more little look here at the playoffs in general and what that seeding has looked like. Obviously, the Chiefs have probably clinched that number one seed unless everything goes to shit the last 4 weeks. I think the Bills will stay at that 2 seed here. The Steelers do have a chance now to overtake them, but I don't know. The Bills just look good. So I think they're going to be the 2 seed here if they don't overtake the Chiefs in this situation. And then I think the rest of this mainly stays the same unless the Ravens do end up swapping places with the Steelers here in that like AFC AFC North championship, or if they take that division title there, or if we see like some sort of miracle run. I know the Bengals aren't technically eliminated. I doubt that. The Dolphins, I don't think have what it takes, but if we were to see a miracle run, they'd probably overtake like the Chargers or the Broncos still in this situation. But honestly, I don't see a whole lot changing here with at least the 7 teams that are in the slot right now. I don't know about you for the AFC.
Yeah, I don't. Am I saying that the Jets do not have a chance to get in at
No,
all?
no,
Yeah,
they're yeah,
the
they're
Jets are
officially eliminated.
the Jets are done. The only thing I can see changing, like kind of what we talked about earlier, Ravens, Steelers. I think it's going to be Steelers. That's really the biggest thing. Obviously, the Ravens haven't even officially clinched a wild card. The Ravens will be in the playoffs. So that, like I said, that can go either way. Chargers, I think they're going to hold on. Broncos, I don't know. I don't know if they will, but we're going to have to wait and see. The Bengals, unfortunately for you, I know you're not a huge NFL fan, but I know you're a pretty big NFL fan. I don't think your Bengals are going to make it this year, but we're going to have to wait and see about next year. We're going to see how,
I'm torn apart.
Joe Icy Burrow, how his attitude changes a little bit. I saw kind of a lip reading video. He doesn't seem happy right now. I mean, he's
Yeah,
there for the next 5 years, whether he likes it or not. Even if he requests a trade, I genuinely don't know if the Bengals will trade him. That's how much I think that city likes him and how much they want to hold on to him. And they are a good team. The biggest thing is the Bengals defense. The Bengals offense has been amazing this year. I mean, Joe Burrow is MVP. I think he's going to win the MVP this year. I mean, he's been playing out of his mind. But that Bengals defense, I know they had a good game against whatever sorry team they just played. I don't even remember who they played. I was watching that game. They had a lot of.
the Titans. The Titans.
They played the Titans, so they had. I think there was maybe 7 or 8 turnovers in that game, and I think the Bengals had 3 or 4 interceptions. Don't let that get your hopes up. The Bengals defense is what is causing them to not be in the playoffs this year, and
Yeah.
I guess we're gonna have to see how that goes next season. But yeah, sorry, I'm kind of backtracking what we were talking about. The only thing I think is going to change there is going to be the Steelers and the Ravens, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And then Then we've got the NFC here. We've got the Lions there at the top with the Eagles. I think this could go either way depending on what these teams do in these last four, but I think those two will be at the 1 or 2, just interchange potentially. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think they win that division, so they're going to stay there. And then, like we talked about, this 4 spot for the NFC West, we don't know what the hell is going to happen there. We don't know if any of those teams might still squeak in at that wild card spot. I mean, I think the Vikings have at least clinched that, so the 5 spot is taken. But I mean, we've got these last 2 spots. If the Packers or the Commanders potentially fizzle out here at the end of the year, we'll see if like the Seahawks, the Falcons, the Cardinals, or the Niners, maybe even the Cowboys are in a potential position to do so. Well, okay, Dak's gone. The Cowboys aren't doing it, so they're out. But I mean, any teams here 8 through 11 could still potentially sneak in at like that 7 or 6 spot, depending on how that goes. I don't know if you have if you think any of those wild cards will be different than what they are, but
The
I don't know.
NFC is so hard to gauge. I mean, like you said, the Rams being up there right now. I mean, genuinely, I wouldn't be surprised if somehow the Browns end up winning that division, and the Browns are playing in the NFC, and they clinch that that division
The
spot
Browns?
for the NFC West. That's how fucked that division is. Fuck it, bring the Browns over to the NFC West.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so that can go. That can
Yeah.
go anyway.
Yeah.
Packers, I think, are going to be a shoo-in for the wild card. I think Jordan Love's having a pretty decent season. Commanders, I think, are going to be a wild card. Yeah, I mean, the hardest thing for these wild card teams is obviously the NFC North. I believe they're going to have, three teams in the playoffs. So it's going to be a little tricky after that.
Yeah.
I can't really tell you anything about the NFC because it is in a disarray right now. Obviously, the only good team, there's 4 good teams in the NFC right now that look like that on paper, and that's the Packers, the Vikings, the Lions, and the Eagles. Now, the Commanders still haven't reached that 10-win mark, and that's kind of what I'm going off of. So I have no idea what's going on in the NFC.
Yeah.
But definitely the Eagles have been playing good. Lions have been playing good. Vikings are frauds. Maybe. I think they are. We'll have to wait and see. But other than those 3, it's been a season in the NFC.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens, man. It's gonna be exciting. We got a lot of division matchups and whatnot. Let me switch back over here to our main cam, but that's pretty much everything that we wanted to touch NFL wise. I know we went pretty long here, but I mean that's why it's a podcast, and I'll chop up some of the times when like we were like transitioning between topics or anything like that. But yeah, I'm excited for the NFL, and obviously college football, like we were touching on, is going to be an amazing weekend here of these first round playoffs, the first ever 12-team playoffs. So I'm super excited for that. Thank you, Noah, for coming on. Appreciate it. Hopefully we can have you again in the future. I'll work on the notes and whatnot to see if we can like cut it down a little bit time wise, because I mean obviously there's a whole nother section I'm going to record with the Call of Duty stuff. I'm recording this after that, but listeners would have heard that already by this point. So there's a whole other section there, so I'll work on the notes and maybe cut down some of the stuff we talk about or go through it a little bit quicker. But I really liked this first episode. I think we touched on a lot of good topics, and yeah, I mean anything else you want to add?
That's pretty much it. I was glad to be here. I do think it was, I enjoyed kind of the back and forth, kind of the debating on things, the agreeing on things like we kind of said at the start. I think it's fun. I'm really into this. I'm excited for the college football playoffs as well. You can cut this out. Are you going to Braden's on Saturday to watch those games?
Yeah, I think I am. I am.
Maybe leave it in there. Let Braden know. He'll watch the podcast. Don't text in the group chat. If he watched the podcast, he'll know you're coming. But yeah, I'm excited. I definitely will like to be back. I definitely would like to be back. It was fun. I enjoyed talking about it with you. I know you're a big football guy. I'm a pretty big football guy, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, I appreciate you letting me come on.
Yeah, of course, and to many more. Definitely welcome at any other time. We'll kick up on that for sure. Only other things I wanted to mention. I'm just gonna kind of go through the outro here as well. Thanks everybody for listening. Like I said, next week probably won't have a ton to talk about Call of Duty related because we're on like a four week break from the CDL. So any news that comes out there, of course, we'll touch on, but don't expect a whole lot Call of Duty wise next week. But we will be back, of course, to discuss the college football playoff results and everything NFL. wise next week to look forward to. And then did want to mention again, we are on Spotify now. If you just look up Killstreaks and Kickoffs Podcast on Spotify, it should show up. But the link will also be down in the description below for the episode. So you can click that as well if you prefer. And then all other links for all my other socials. I know we've got the icons down there, the YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, X, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff are linked below in the description. And otherwise, everybody have a great weekend. This should be up on Thursday. If I get it up and edited in time, it should be up by Thursday. So by the time you're listening to this, have a great weekend. I have been Sam with Noah here, and hope everybody has a great weekend. Peace out, everybody.
Like I'm stuck, it's time giving it up. She wanna get married tonight, but I can't take a knee, so I'm wearing all white.